How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Would you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for the people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final
Hey, what up, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. We really talk about whatever I want to talk about during the week, but we usually do, and we will this week, have a heavy bend towards talking about the far left. We're also going to be streaming some confirmation hearings this week. We're going to be streaming RFK's confirmation hearing, at least day one of it. We're going to be streaming Kash Patel's confirmation hearing. We might check in with Tulsi Gabbard here or there. But, you know, wouldn't you know it, the United States Senate decided to schedule Kash Patel, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard at the same effing time. So we're going to have to make do. We'll have to make do. Hey, can everyone do me a favor for real quick and mount the like button for me? There is a shocking disparity right now between the number of people watching and the number of people who've liked the video. The reason this is important, guys, is I am perpetually shadow banned on YouTube. Really, one of the only ways I can break out of the shadow ban on YouTube is by getting people to mount the like button. So if you're here and you're watching my content for free, please consider it your fee to watch my content, that you are mounting the like button. And if you're not willing to do that, then get the fuck out. I really do mean that. If you are not willing to do the very basic minimum of liking the video, then you don't deserve my content. Go away. Go somewhere else. We all need to work together here. You know, a vicious rumor was spread about me over the weekend that I'm really a Fed, and that the only reason I'm not banned on YouTube with all of the harassment that I do on YouTube, because some people don't like words that they don't like. What he said is that the only reason I'm not banned on YouTube is that I'm a Fed and I have a protected channel. And I'm like, oh, yo, you should have seen what my channel was like before YouTube suppressed it with the algorithm. I know exactly the date it happened. I know exactly when we break out of the shadow ban every once or twice for a couple weeks, and then it goes right back in the shadow ban. So everyone, please mount the like button for me. I really do appreciate it. Hey, I did a rare thing this week in that I planned ahead the whole week. You don't understand. I'm an Aries. It is a monumental feat for me to plan an entire week of streaming ahead of time. Like, this is like, I basically climbed Mount Everest today, guys. And I'm really excited about the week that we have because it is a very full week, so I needed to plan everything. Today we're going to be watching a documentary I found on a socialist book publisher, Verso Books, and shockingly, this documentary was actually released 3 years ago. So this was pre-October 7th, and it's about the Israel lobby in academia, and there's about an hour documentary, and then there's a panel discussion after that. I really just want to watch the documentary today. If we get into a little bit of the panel discussion, fine, if we have extra time for that, but the reality is we probably won't have time for that. So I want to watch the core documentary, which is about an hour long, and just see what it is. I normally like doing a little bit of a lighter thing on Monday. We have our community Zoom call at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so I usually have to keep the show. I have a time constraint that I have to be in, and so I thought we would watch this documentary. It was produced by Al Jazeera. It is uploaded on the Verso Books YouTube channel. I found a little secret link to it. And so we're going to enjoy that today. That's going to be what we're going to do today. It's going to be a little bit of a relax day. But if you go to the page of my YouTube channel, dang, did I plan out a whole week's worth of streams. Tomorrow, we're going to start our stream a little bit early. Everyone, mark your calendar, set an alarm, do whatever you need to do. We will be starting the stream early tomorrow. We'll be starting it around 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. The reason we'll be starting it early tomorrow is the socialists over at Haymarket Books at 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. They're doing a live presentation about how capitalism caused the Los Angeles fires. I'm not joking. And we've all seen articles here or there blaming capitalism for the Los Angeles fires. For people who are new to watching socialism, as a reminder, socialists and leftists literally blame capitalism for every problem in the world. And so it does not surprise me at all to see socialist book publisher Haymarket Books doing a live presentation about, literally, it's called Capitalism and the Los Angeles Fires, or something like that. It's something very close to that. And so we're going to watch that tomorrow. That is a live presentation, so I don't control what time it starts. So you're just going to have to tune in. 4 p.m. tomorrow is when that's supposed to start, so about an hour earlier than we usually do, and I usually turn the stream on a little bit before that, just so people can, get in the lobby and get their notification and all that good stuff. So that will be tomorrow. Tomorrow evening at 9 p.m., we are doing an episode of the Disenraged series, all about the Akashic Records. Disenraged is a lighter thing that we do on Tuesday nights where we talk about spirituality and crystals and meditation and woo-woo stuff. And if you don't like it, you don't have to come, but it is a nice little break at the beginning of the week or midway through this Tuesday at the beginning of the week or midway through the week. I don't even know. But we do that on Tuesday at 9 p.m. with Jennifer. It's a little bit more woo. If you're going to preach to me about not being a Christian, please don't come. It's just this is our break. Okay. So if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it, and that's fine. On Wednesday, we are going to be streaming the RFK hearing early in the day. All right. And so that's going to be fun. And so that's going to start at around 9:45 in the morning, and I'm going to have to get up early. So we will be streaming day one of the RFK hearing. On Thursday, we're going to be streaming Kash Patel's confirmation hearing. He's up for the FBI director. That's going to be even earlier, because that starts at 9:30 in the morning, so I have to start the stream by 9:15, even better. On Thursday, I think, although I might move it to Wednesday, we're going to be doing the next edition of the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club. So if you are not caught up with the Counter-Revolutionary Book Club, we're reading a book called Against the Gender Nightmare. You can catch up on part 1. We did it last week. We will either be doing that on Wednesday or Thursday. I have it scheduled for Thursday right now just because I have a little bit more time on Thursday, but we might be doing it on Wednesday too. I just have to kind of see. And then on Friday, we are ending the week with the lovely, the beautiful, our favorite Abolish the Family socialist, Sophie. We have a Sophie classic talk that she has unlisted on her YouTube channel, but I found it before she unlisted it. And so we are going to be watching a classic Sophie talk about feminism on Friday for happy hour. And guess what, guys? I just found out that Sophie is going on a book tour. And Sophie will be in Boston for the book tour. And so maybe I might just, get in my car and drive to Boston and pay Sophie a nice little visit in person because I want to hear about Sophie's new book. Wouldn't that be funny? Maybe I'll do that, Sophie. You know, Sophie didn't recognize me the last time I crashed her presentation. She claimed she didn't recognize me. I think Sophie made me the last time I went undercover at Sophie's presentation. I think she did, because I remember distinctly I was sitting in the audience and Sophie looked right at me. And I was like, oh shit, she knows. And then, but I asked her later over Instagram, I was like, Sophie, did you know that was me? And she was like, no, I did not. I was like, all right, Sophie. So you want to go? Do you want to go too? Do you want to go to the book club meeting too? Maybe we will. Maybe we will, Kazmar. Maybe we'll do a day out in Boston. We'll go get some drinks. We'll go to the book club. We'll go see Sophie live. Sophie will be thrilled about this. She'll be so happy. Anyway, that's what we have all week, guys. There might be a couple more things because I do have to schedule something either on Wednesday or replace the book club on Thursday. So we're going to have to see about that. But I do have a nice, big scheduled out week. We've got a lot of content. And of course, here's the thing. Of course, because I have scheduled everything in advance, something is going to happen to screw all this up. I just want everyone to be aware of that. This is like wearing white. It's like anytime you wear a white shirt, you're going to spill something on the white shirt, probably like a tomato sauce or something red that you will never be able to get out of the white shirt. It's all over. You wore it once and that was all you got because you are tempting fate every single time you wear a white shirt, and that's just the way it goes. And it's the same thing when I schedule streams in advance. When I schedule streams in advance, all hell breaks loose. So just wait for it. Something's coming. I was in an earthquake this morning. By the way, Kazmar, did you feel that earthquake this morning? I was just getting up this morning, and all of a sudden my whole house starts shaking and the whole bed starts shaking. And Victor's like, what the fuck, Carlin? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just waking up. But apparently there was like a 4-point-something magnitude earthquake about an hour away from me in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And it really did, man. It shook the entire house something fierce. It really, really did. This is like definitely the most powerful earthquake that I've ever felt. And it freaked me out just a little bit. And it freaked my husband out. The dogs, of course, slept through the whole thing. You know, dogs were completely unresponsive. But yeah, like the earthquake literally woke me up this morning. That was fun. Anyway, let's see. What else oh, that's not what I want. That's too big. There we go. What else are we going to talk about? So we've got a good week of schedules. By the way, just in case everyone, just so if everyone hasn't heard, we are doing movie nights in my supporter Discord on Monday nights now. Monday nights, there are a couple things that supporters in my community can do. At 7 p.m., you can come to a community Zoom call with us where we just get on Zoom and we talk about whatever we feel like talking about. That usually goes for a couple of hours. If you are a supporter on my Substack or my locals, you are welcome to join the community Zoom call that we're doing at 7 p.m. And then at 9 p.m., MacB will be showing the classic Escape from New York in the supporter Discord. If you have not joined my supporter Discord, what you need to do is head over to my Substack. That is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. Click on this digest email right in the middle of the screen. And then what you need to do is scroll all the way down to the bottom. All the way down. There's a lot of stuff that came out this week, all the way down. And then underneath this red box right here, you're going to find a link to the Zoom that we're doing at 7 p.m. on Monday, today. You're going to find a link to join the supporter Discord. Just tell us where you came from in the verification channel. We'll get you all verified. And then you can come join movie night with MacB at 9 p.m. tonight. We also do movie nights on Sunday nights, but you already missed that one. But you can join and be there for next week's movie night. We are starting to do Valentine's Day movies now. And so that'll be fun. Also, we have a special movie night edition this Saturday. Jennifer is going to show Meet the Feebles and do some sort of like commentary over it to make fun of it. So if you want to watch a really, really bad movie, and this is partly Jennifer's husband idea, like he really wanted to do this. He wants to watch really bad movies. They're calling it the ABCs and double Ds or something like that. And they're showing bad movies in the supporter Discord on one Saturday a month, the first Saturday of the month, and they're going to do commentary over it. And so they're watching Meet the Feebles on Saturday around 9 p.m. We're doing a regular movie night on Sunday at 8 p.m. And then tonight, Monday, the most normal movie night that I have, we are going to be doing Escape from New York. Yes, they're doing like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing with Meet the Feebles on Saturday. I approved it against my better judgment, and it's I'm just kidding. I like to give Jennifer a hard time. I'm just kidding. I like that she wants to do this stuff. I'm gonna stop by. We're all gonna watch Meet the Feebles and do the Mystery Science Theater 3000 thing, and that'll be a new thing that's going on once a month in the supporter Discord. And so I just didn't make a promo for it yet because I forgot. I forgot. You gotta go big, Jennifer. Listen, Trendlin, listen. I am finally, at long last, getting Jennifer to show Dirty Dancing in the month of February. It took me 3 years. 3 years of movie nights. 3 years of begging Jennifer to finally play Dirty Dancing in February for Romance Movie Month, okay? So you can work on that. You can go beg her for your movie selection, and maybe she'll let you, or maybe she'll make you wait, just like she likes to make me wait all the time. That's fine. That's fine. So if you want to join the Substack, guys, or if you want to get involved, head over again to join the Discord rather. Head over to the Substack, sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. My work is 100% completely funded by you. And as a thank you, I like to offer different supporter perks and things that people can get involved in. And so you can find that over on my main Substack. Also, on the Red Menace Collective, this is a separate Substack. This is a Substack where I'm publishing draft chapters of books I'm writing before they actually get made into a book. And we're making great progress. I should actually be able to finish this week. I'm writing a little book I'm calling A Brief History of Racism, or it's going to be something like that. It's like, and basically it's a very short book. It's going to be around 10,000, maybe 15,000 words tops. It's going to be a very short book that documents the evolution of the term racism and all the definitions of racism that have existed since the term was invented. I have the origin of the term racism. I've documented basically all the way up through the 1990s at this point. I'm just working on the back half of it now. And so you can read the chapters that are documenting the evolution of this term. And it is actually pretty effing fascinating, if I'm honest about it. It started as kind of like this little side project that I was just researching this because I was curious about it. And then I was like, yo, I'm going to write a book about this. Little tiny mini one, not a full one. But we have 3 chapters up online now. We have the invention of racism. We have the weaponization of racism. And last night I published the reframing of racism. Later tonight, you're probably going to get a chapter that's going to be called the commodification of racism, or something like that. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up on the Red Menace Collective Substack. That is redmenacecollective.substack.com. That is separate from my main Substack. And again, this is where I'm funding the books that I'm writing on, of which I'm writing many right now. So I really appreciate the support, guys. And I hope you enjoy the work because it really has been a very interesting project for me to do. LK, thank you for the super chat. Off topic, but graphically, Alex wanted me to super chat you to please add Taylor Swift to the map of the land of Retardia. It would mean a lot to him. Oh, should we give Taylor Swift her own island? Well, let's think about that. Let's think about how we can add Taylor Swift to the map of Retardia. If Alex has any suggestions for us, should she get an island? What should she get? Like, we need to have some sort of story related to it. So if Alex can help us out with that, I'm more than open to the idea. So I guess we'll see. Do I have anything else? Oh, Unwoke Art Store. Unwoke Art Store. Lastly, as a special Valentine's Day surprise, I do have some Valentine's merch up in the Unwoke Art Store, and it is 25% off this week only. And this is the special that I do every time I launch a new design in the Unwoke Art Store. For the first week, you get 25% off all the merchandise with that design. So if you really love it, the first week of launch is the very best time to buy it. And this one's a little bit different because, yeah, I do have a t-shirt, but really this is about your Valentine's Day gift. So what I did is I designed a Trump illustration where Trump is pointing at you with admiration in his eye, and it says, I love you, and this is a greeting card that you can buy to give to your Valentine. You can buy them in any quantity. You can send them out to all your friends and family if you want. The inside is just blank white, so you can personalize it in whatever way you want. We also have wrapping paper. I mean, come on, everyone loves my Trump wrapping paper. It's the best. We have candles now in different scents and things like that. So that's pretty great. We have mugs. Actually, a bunch of people have been buying these mugs. I think these mugs look cool. What a nice gift. We've got this little sippy cup glass thing, which is kind of cool, I think. I think women like those things. And then we even put it on stuffed animals because it's Valentine's Day, and you can get all sorts of different stuffed animals, a bunny or jaguar or a lion or a panda or a sheep or any of those things. And this is the special Valentine's Day Trump collection, and that is available in the Unwoke Art Store. It is a limited edition design. It's only going to be available for 2 weeks. So now's the best time to get it because you can get it for 25% off. You're going to get one more week where you have an opportunity to buy it after that, and then it's gone. And once it's gone, it may never come back. I didn't bring back last year's Valentine's Day design. We have a new one this year. So if you want it, you got to pick it up now. Can I put your penguin on a mug? Okay. All right, Trendlin, I'll make you a penguin mug. All right, I promise. I have the design of the penguin now, so it's really easy to do. So yes, I will make you a penguin mug, Trendlin. All right, guys, let's just jump right into it because we do have a limited amount of time today with the supporter Zoom call. We are watching a documentary about the Israel lobby in academia. And again, if you just joined, this documentary is on a socialist book publisher's YouTube channel. Verso Books publishes far-left radical revolutionary socialist books. And this documentary was made by Al Jazeera, and it was published 3 years ago. So before October 7th. Okay, we always have to keep that in mind. This is before October 7th. The documentary itself is about an hour long. There's a panel discussion after that, but I don't think we're going to be able to get to that today. And we're just going to dig in. Niritu says, hey, sorry I've been missing lately. I've been dealing with a viral infection. What do you think about the pending release of the JFK files? I don't know, Niritu. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I really don't have an opinion on it. I just want to see the files, but I guess I'm not sure. Thanks so much for the super chat. I hope you're doing okay. You're going to wear your Be an Outcast shirt to Sophie's event. Sophie would probably really like that. We should bring Sophie one. Be like, Sophie, we brought you a present in the name of solidarity and community love. Sophie's going to be so pissed off. We're all going to show up. We're going to take up like half the audience. Sophie's going to be so pissed. See, here's the thing though. I said this on Twitter this morning too. And this is the last thing I'll say before we get into the documentary. I said this on Twitter this morning. This is how you know James Lindsay is a pansy bitch. Because I've been calling Sophie Lewis my internet girlfriend for like years. We stream every single thing that Sophie does. We talk about going to Sophie's events. I've actually gone undercover and recorded Sophie at one of her events. Sophie never gets pissed off at us. Sophie never has these massive meltdowns on the internet calling me all sorts of names. So James is a bitch and Sophie is better than James. And, even though she's a communist and we don't agree with her on everything, but Sophie is still better than James. All right? Yes, Gloria, Sophie is going to be in Boston because she's doing a book tour for her new book. Sophie's going to be all over. I would encourage many people to find out Sophie's book tour schedule, and maybe we can just stop at all of her events. Be like, everyone can go ask her, Sophie, what do you think about Carlin? Will you talk to Carlin? Will you go on Carlin's channel? Oh, it would be the best. Sophie's gonna hate me even more than she already does. Anyway, we're focusing. We are watching this documentary, The Israel Lobby in Academia. Let's see what happened.
Okay,
Oh,
I
gosh.
believe we are live. Hello, everybody.
Loud.
And I'd like to welcome you to this special screening of the Israel Lobby USA. This program is sponsored by several organizations, and I'd like to thank them all. That includes Verso Books, Palestine Legal, Jewish Voice for Peace, the
Jewish Voice
Adalah
for
Justice
Peace.
Project, and the Institute for Policy Studies. My name is Fawn.
Hi, Fawn.
And what you're about to see is a program that was produced by an Al Jazeera investigative team that was planned to air around 2017 and 2018. However, it never aired on
Oh,
Al
wow.
Jazeera. Following
So this is really old. This documentary is almost 10 years old. That's crazy.
some lobbying efforts by the Israel lobby, either ironically or predictably, and there was a lot of pressure put on the government of Qatar, and there was a lot of involvement with a former Jewish aide to Ted Cruz, Nicholas Muzin, who later became a lobbyist for the Qatari government, as well as the involvement of the Zionist Organization of America, and also Alan Dershowitz and a lot of other shady characters. Of course, Alan Dershowitz would want you to know that he kept his underwear on the whole time. The film is a little over 1 hour long, and following that, we will have a panel discussion with Sumaya Awad from the Adalah Justice Project, Liz Jackson from Palestine Legal, Noah Colwyn from Rollback Podcast, and Corey Peterson-Smith from the Institute for Policy Studies. So stay tuned for that. That will be following this live airing of the censored Israel Lobby program, so that's 1 hour. And then after the 1 hour showing, we will cut straight into the live panel discussion. Now, I have with me Karen Holmes, who was involved in the creation of this documentary. She was an organizer and researcher involved in it, and I'd like her to just say a few words and introduce this. So please, Karen.
Thank you so much to the Verso team and to you specifically, Fawn, for coordinating the screening. You said it all so well, but just a really brief background on the film. In 2016, Al Jazeera sent undercover reporter James Kleinfeld to intern and network in the Israel lobby in Washington, D.C. Using a hidden camera, he filmed the lobby efforts to target, surveil, and smear advocates for Palestinian liberation. After pressure from the very lobby that the series was investigating, Al Jazeera censored the documentary. So while the film was never formally released, it was leaked online and hosted by Electronic Intifada. The original 4-hour series, I created this subject specific.
It was hosted by Electronic Intifada. Intifada, for those people who don't know, has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. Intifada means worldwide socialist revolution.
Cut to highlight the Israel lobby's efforts to target Palestine activism on U.S. college campuses. I've shown this cut on campuses around the country with hopes that people better understand the counterinsurgent strategies being levied against this incredibly important freedom work. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the film, and thank you to Verso.
Thanks a lot, Karen. Once again, the film will last 1 hour, and following that, please stay on to watch the panel discussion. So with that in mind, here we go.
Using an undercover reporter, Al Jazeera's investigative unit infiltrates one of the most powerful lobbies in the world.
Getting $38 billion in security aid to Israel matters, which is what AIPAC is doing.
We examine how the lobby, led by AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, has secured unwavering support in Congress.
Congressmen don't do anything unless you pressure them. And the only way to do that is with money.
What the lobby is all about is to make sure that Israel gets...
I just want to remind people that we love the Jewish people. There is no anti-Semitism allowed on my channel. I will immediately censor and ban anyone who brings anti-Semitism onto my channel because we love the Jewish people. They are God's chosen people. We should show our love by sending them all of our money. And I just don't want anyone to accuse me of anything just because we're watching we're just researching socialism. That's all we're doing here. We're researching socialism. We love Jews.
Special treatment from the United States forever.
But after occupying Palestinian lands for half a century, the pro-Israel lobby is facing a new challenge.
We called for a full boycott of Israel, divesting from it, and eventually imposing sanctions on it to achieve UN-stipulated rights of the Palestinian people.
A movement to boycott, divest, and impose sanctions on Israel, BDS, was formed on American campuses.
Seems to be achieving its goals, threatens future American support for Israel.
We believe in justice for all people. So that means the occupation has to end.
Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs responded with a covert operation to defeat BDS.
אתה צריך לעשות את זה עם הרבה מאוד עמימות. זה לא גוף צבאי היררכי שאם הרגנו את X, אז כל הגוף מתחתיו לא פועל.
So the Israeli government leverages Jewish organizations in the diaspora.
Absolutely.
It's a psychological campaign involving spying and smears.
You discredit the messenger as a way of discrediting the message. just stay on message. And what is that message? BDS is a hate movement.
While our reporter monitored pro-Israel groups, he was asked to go undercover for the lobby.
You're going into enemy territory. It's not for everybody.
Wow. He was like, they tried to get me a double agent. They didn't know that, though.
Our undercover reporter, Tony, is British and Jewish and had recently graduated from the University of Oxford. He wrote articles and presented himself as a strong supporter of Israel. In Washington, he attended a course on the Israel-Palestine conflict.
I'm from the UK, and I'm just taking a course at Georgetown here over the summer.
He networked in the social circles of the pro-Israel lobby.
Hi, I'm Rona.
Hi, Tony.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. I'm good. Good to see you. Hey.
After building his profile, Tony was accepted on a training course in pro-Israel advocacy.
Welcome to Fuel for Truth DC second boot camp. Congratulations, everyone, to being accepted. What we're going to do right now is just kind of like introduce ourselves. I'm Daniel.
In role-play workshops, they were instructed how to respond to criticism of Israel.
Can I have a volunteer? Apartheid walls cutting off Palestine. Boycott Israel. Divest from Israel. Sanction companies that do business with Israel.
It's kind of odd to call it a wall, given that like 90% of it is a fence.
This is a photo. I see a wall.
Why can't Israel do more to help, Tony?
Our undercover reporter played the role of pro-Israel advocate.
Israel is doing a lot to help the Palestinians. I say actually Israel is doing all the best that they can, but it's a tough situation.
Businesses in Gaza can't freely send their trucks into Israel to sell their goods.
I think you'll find that that's actually a misconception. They do allow their trucks, and what they don't allow is dangerous material.
Okay, stop.
Wow. Oh,
After the course, Tony was accepted as a volunteer at a pro-Israel communications group called the Israel Project.
It's Tony Kleinfeld. Kleinfeld, like Seinfeld, but with a K.
The Israel Project, known as TIP, describes itself on its promotional videos as a strategic communications group.
At TIP, we believe we've found the answer. Israel's enemies have left the battlefield of the Middle East and are now fighting on the battlefield of public opinion.
TIP's online promotion claims it shapes the way Israel is framed in the international media.
TIP changes the way thousands of media reports appear every year. And then we add platforms of our own, getting people talking, taking command of the conversations.
Weeks before he started, Tony discussed with a senior manager how TIP deals with the media.
Things that you do loudly. A lot of them are things you do behind the scenes. The basically messaging on the following BDS means essentially kind of a hate group targeting Israel. They're anti-peace. We try not to even use the term just because it builds their brand. We just refer to boycotters. The goal is to actually make things happen and to figure out what are the means of communication to do that.
In 2005, Palestinian civil rights groups sought a peaceful means to protest against Israel's occupation. They identified goods from Israel and called for their boycott. The BDS movement was born.
BDS adopted a nonviolent strategy because we think it is morally consistent and very effective against an enemy that is extremely powerful militarily. We called for boycotting Israel, divesting from it, and eventually imposing sanctions on it, as was...
So, if you haven't heard of BDS before, and honestly, like, you'd have to kind of be living under a rock, but that's okay, some people are new. So BDS is the boycott, divest, sanction movement, which basically means stop sending money to Israel. The BDS movement on college campuses has been going on for a long time. So what I want people to know is, like, a lot of people were introduced to the BDS movement in like last year when the campus protests started. Now the campus protests were a response to October 7th, but really the BDS movement and the groups that were running the campus protests had been going on college campuses for a long time before October 7th. So every time a conservative says, these people just sprung right up out of nowhere, they must be funded by George Soros, they just came out of nowhere. Well, no, they didn't come out of nowhere. These people have been organizing together for years. The BDS movement, this documentary was made almost 10 years ago. The BDS movement has been around for a long time. And they just, made a big splash last year with the campus protests, but it wasn't something that just popped up out of nowhere. It also was not a response to October 7th. It was just the continuation of activism they've been doing for a long time. October 7th did give them an opportunity to have their message heard on a much larger scale. The far left also pivoted over to almost entirely a free Palestine message, like basically the entire far left got behind it, and it was all they've kind of talked about up until basically now when Trump is taking office. But that's kind of like a little brief introduction to the history of that. It's not something, and by the way, there are Jewish people involved in the BDS movement. Palestine, what is it? What is the far left Jewish Voices for Peace? That's it. They've already been mentioned in here. There are Jewish people involved in the BDS movement. It is not about anti-Semitism. It never was about anti-Semitism. It is about, it's a far left movement to support, the liberation of Palestine from Israel. They view Israel to be the capitalist oppressors that stole the Palestinian land.
Done against apartheid South Africa to achieve basic Palestinian rights under international law.
Over the past decade, BDS has grown around the world. By campaigning for Palestinian civil rights in land controlled by Israel, BDS believes it has exposed a deficiency in the moral defense of the Jewish state. Tony had gathered that the lobby's concern with BDS was not its economic impact, but a much wider threat to the power of the pro-Israel lobby.
The specific potential of an immediate boycott, that's not a problem. It's a bigger problem is the Democratic Party, the Bernie Sanders people, bringing all these anti-Israel people in the Democratic Party. Pro-Israel is less of a bipartisan issue. And then, every time the White House changes, policies towards Israel change.
The bigger problem is the Bernie Sanders people bringing all these anti-Israel people into the Democratic Party. Because this was around the time that Bernie Sanders ran for president the first time.
It becomes a dangerous thing for Israel. There is an actually important battle being fought on the campuses.
The Israel on Campus Coalition is a coordinating group at the front line of the battle against BDS.
We built up this massive national political campaign to crush them and to fight back and to fight fire with fire. What we saw was a growing global movement to destroy Israel that was manifesting on American college campuses. It makes sense that they would try to poison the next generation. The one thing every member of Congress and president and ambassador and newspaper editor has in common is, by and large, they spent a little bit of time on a college campus, and probably those were formative years.
The Israel on Campus Coalition is at the center of the lobby's response to BDS.
There are about 100, maybe 120 now professionals that are working for a dozen national ICC partner organizations like AIPAC and Hasbara Fellowships and Stand With Us and Hillel and Chabad and API.
The Israel on Campus Coalition, they really oversee the whole movement. They're sort of the ones that have the bird's eye view. Let's just say next week, a BDS resolution comes to campus. So the ICC will be the ones, they'll organize a conference call with all the partners. So they might say, okay, stand with us, we need a little bit more of your help because we need something regarding BDS resolution. The campus newspaper wants us to write an op-ed, will you guys help the op-ed? So they'll sort of be the ones and they'll sort of be overseeing it.
Stand With Us and the ICC have a particularly close relationship. Stand With Us holds an annual conference in Los Angeles. Its focus is on how to fight the BDS movement.
Oh, wow.
To reveal the true nature of BDS, a venomous, deceitful, anti-peace, anti-coexistence movement that will settle for nothing short of the annihilation of the Jewish state.
on campus. So one thing that I would just...
Jacob Bain from the Israel on Campus Coalition linked BDS to the rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes in America.
Anti-Semitism is increasing in general, right? In the same way that we're seeing anti-Semitism increase in the community, we're seeing these awful...
Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that it kind of seems as though anti-Semitism is always increasing? This documentary was filmed almost 10 years ago. Anti-Semitism is increasing on college campuses. After October 7th. Anti-Semitism is increasing on college campuses. It's like the messaging is... I think one of the most interesting things about this is I suspect what we're going to get out of this documentary is that the messaging is the same. It's exactly the same. And that should tell you something.
Terrifying desecrations of Jewish cemeteries. The campus is no exception.
At the Israel on Campus Coalition in Washington, Tony discovered that the lobby is deliberately adopting a clandestine approach on campuses.
We should stand behind our work, not in front of it. It's not helpful for Stand With Us to say to a pro-Israel student, or the Israel Project to say to a pro-Israel student, oh, sure, we'll help you, but you have to put our logo on it. We're working so closely with Stand With Us, and we have such a tight partnership with them today that it's totally seamless.
Tony also discovered that anonymity is a key strand of the campaign against BDS.
If one of these terrorists on campus wants to disrupt a pro-Israel lecture or something and unfurl a banner or whatever else, we're going to investigate them, look into bad stuff they've done. That stuff becomes very useful in the moment, and there are any number of ways to push it out. The only thing is that we do it securely and anonymously, and that's the key.
So if you're a student on a college campus and you're saying something we don't like, we're going to go find embarrassing stuff that we can use against you. Where have I heard that before?
It was a Sunday. I was in the kitchen. My partner was in the living room with my daughter. Came in with her laptop and she said, "You've got to see this."
Hang on.
Daughter came in.
Who's that? Who's that? Does anyone know? Tithi Bhattacharya? Who's that? Hint, we've watched her before on Socialism Saturday. She's one of the leading abolish the family socialists in the country. She's the social reproduction lady. She talks about abolish the family and abolishing the gender binary in conjunction with social reproduction theory. All of her stuff is grounded in social reproduction theory. So yeah, she's an abolish the family socialist right there. That's funny. And apparently she's married to this Bill guy that's in this documentary. I am a savant when it comes to socialism. I remember everything for some reason. No, I can't remember the names of people that I meet, but I'll remember a socialist activist.
In with her laptop and she said, "You've got to see this."
Bill Mullen has been a campaigner for the BDS movement for years. His wife had been sent a link to a website containing a letter addressed to her.
This letter purported to be by a former student who said that she had been sexually harassed by me, and she had found other students at Purdue who had had the same experience, and she was writing this letter to tell their story.
With the anti-Israel people, what's most effective, what we found, at least in the last year, is you do the opposition research, put up some anonymous website, and then put up targeted Facebook ads.
Hey, I don't recognize you, but you sent me in a nice chat. Dr. K, your work is appreciated. I never post in the chat, but I've been subscribed and watching since 2020. I've enjoyed watching your growth on here, and I've learned a lot from your content. I appreciate that. Glad you could make it to a live show. No, I am a learned autist. I don't actually have autism, but because I am married to an autist, because I've had many autists in my life, because I was involved in the Libertarian Party for 2 years, because I've had to become autistic about I've learned autism because it's beneficial for me to learn how to do it. I am not naturally autistic. It goes against every part of my being. But I've had to learn how to do it. You got to do what you got to do.
And within a very short time, within about 48 hours, we were able to establish that these multiple sites that we had found attacking me had been taken out almost at the same time, and that they were clearly the work of the same people.
Every few hours, you drip out a new piece of the opposition research. It's psychological warfare, drives them.
This is like Scientology. This is exactly what Scientology does. Every time there's an enemy of Scientology, they make a website about them and how they're horrible people and all this stuff. Like, literally, the Israel lobby does exactly the same thing as the Scientologists. Wow. Well, Victor and I both, he's never been diagnosed, but Victor and I both suspect that he has autism, yeah. Like, if you knew my husband, you would understand that. And I love him. I love him dearly. He is very autistic about some things.
Hours, you drip out a new piece of the opposition research. It's psychological warfare, drives them crazy.
One of the accounts said that in the process of supposedly putting my hand on her, I'd invited her to a Palestine organizational meeting. And I thought, well, you're sort of putting your cards on the table there, whoever you are.
Hey,
we found out
we got a Rumble rant over on Rumble. Who's that from? Who's that from? I have to take down my pin message to be able to see this. Rhino! Rhino over on Rumble says Carlin is always right. Hey, I do appreciate that, Rhino. Thank you for the Rumble rant.
A student at Purdue, who I work with, had also been targeted.
A former activist with Students for Justice in Palestine agreed to speak only with her face concealed.
It said that I would get drunk and go and have sex with multiple guys, and that's just a huge attack on my character and a massive lie. My parents were very upset.
Listen, okay, I know I'm pausing a lot and we are going to let this play, but I just want to say this. Guys, anytime you hear about someone having a character attack against them online, unless you see, like I'm saying, direct evidence that what they're saying is true. I'm not saying something taken out of context. I'm not saying, a snippet of a video when you get a 3-second clip when really the video was 3.5 hours long. I'm not saying about things taken out of context. I'm saying you have like irrefutable fucking evidence that what they're saying is true. If you don't have that irrefutable evidence, you have to know that someone wants you to dislike that person for a reason. And maybe you like that person and maybe you don't. But if you are interested in what the truth is, you have to be honest that every single time one of these things happens where embarrassing information gets released or people are saying things about someone's mental health or someone's looks or someone's sexual history or any of those things, unless you have like one, and quite frankly, even if you do have proof, like who really cares who someone fucks? Honestly, who really cares? The only reason people would release that information is because it's embarrassing for someone, And so that's so funny, Melissa. So many people have smeared Carlin to me, and that's how I knew she was over the mark and a threat. Yeah, I've had massive amounts of smear campaigns be run on me online because you will not control me and you will not control what I say. So they hate me for it. You look at someone like Nick Fuentes. Most of the stuff you see about Nick Fuentes is completely false. But people will swear to you up and down it's true because Nick Fuentes is dangerous to them. Every single time this stuff happens, almost with rare exception, and you have to be the one to keep yourself in check. You have to be the one to say, now, why is this happening? Like, this is a good general rule. Every time someone releases private DMs that are obviously, well, I was talking to this person for years, but now I just have to show you the truth. And here's one private DM out of thousands of messages that were sent over those years. It's almost always bullshit, okay? And I know drama can be fun, and I know it can be like, it's like enticing. It's like the tabloid, right? You're not supposed to like it, but you have to have in the back of your head, this is not real. Or, why do I even care about this anyway? This is none of my business,
They immediately told me to quit my involvement with SJP.
They either shut down or they spend time responding to it and investigating it, which is time they can't spend attacking Israel. That's incredibly effective.
The main focus was to attack my reputation and my character, pretty much to mess with me so that I don't want to continue my involvement with SJP.
Could you send me some of these websites? I'd be very curious just to see what they look like.
I couldn't.
You couldn't, okay.
But, you know, Canary Mission is a good example. Canary Mission is highly, highly effective to the extent that we monitor the Students for Justice in Palestine and their allies.
A few years later, these individuals are applying for jobs within your company.
Canary Mission's promotional video threatens to pass these smears onto prospective employers.
Ensure that today's radicals are not tomorrow's employees.
Somebody did contact my employer and ask for me to be fired based on my pro-Palestine activism. They said that, you know, if they continued to employ me, that their values are anti-Semitic. It can be really scary at first. I was mostly harassed via Twitter. They were tweeting me like every 2 or 3 days. They take screenshots, even way back to my Facebook pictures that don't even look like me anymore, just digging and digging through my online presence.
They're terrified of Canary Mission, and it's about time.
We had always been afraid of ending up on there. It was like very personal. They see us as such a threat that they have to kind of twist and turn and delve into our personal lives. As if they were trying to scare us into stopping our work. Their Twitter campaign is relentless.
Every picture that I post on Facebook, it goes onto one of their websites with every tweet that I put in. Every hashtag I post on Instagram, it goes into one of their files.
As he left his meeting at the ICC, Tony reflected on the way Jacob Boehme had reacted to his questions about Canary Mission.
We do it securely and anonymously, and that's the key.
It sounds very similar to like a Canary Mission and that kind of thing. Is that, yeah. Are you guys like in touch with them at all, or is there any kind of, no?
No, Canary Mission is totally anonymous.
Yes. Yeah,
it's hard to figure out who's behind it. Canary Mission is highly, highly effective to the extent that we monitor the Students for Justice in Palestine and their allies. We're doing it better. I mean, not we, but this anonymous group.
Wow.
We don't know who's behind it. I would ask where they get their money from, because ultimately that tells you where the control is.
Our undercover reporter, Tony, is having a coffee with Eric, his boss at the Israel Project. Tony wanted to find out more about Canary Mission.
There's a guy named Adam Milstein who you might want to meet. He's a convicted felon. That's a bad way to describe it. He's a real estate mogul. When I was working with him when I was at AIPAC, I was literally emailing back and forth with him while he was in jail. But he's loaded. I mean, he's close to $500 million.
Adam Milstein has become a central figure in the lobby. His foundation funds numerous pro-Israel organizations. He also sits on the boards of AIPAC's National Council, the Israel on Campus Coalition, and Stand With Us. Our reporter filmed him alongside Jacob Boehme from the Israel on Campus Coalition at the Stand With Us conference in Los Angeles. The two men had lengthy private discussions. Tony attended the Israeli-American Council's annual conference. At a party, he spotted the IAC's chairman, Adam Milstein.
I'm Tony, I'm in the Israel Project with Eric Gallagher.
Milstein told Tony how critics of Israel should be handled.
First of all, investigate who they are, what's their agenda. They're picking on the Jews because it's easy, because it's popular. We need to expose what they really are, and we need to expose the fact that they're everything we believe in. And we need to put them on the run. Right now, they can do whatever they like, terrorize us, and we are...
How do we put them on the run, though?
doing it by exposing who they are, what they are, the fact that they're racist, the fact that they're bigot, that they're democracy.
Eric said wealthy pro-Israel donors now have the freedom to fight Israel's critics however they want.
In this country, you have these billionaire types who are starting to realize, like, oh wow, I don't need to participate in the Republican or Democratic parties. I could build my own apparatus and have influence from Los Angeles or Detroit. And Al Milstein's one of those guys. And he funds the Israel Project. He does a lot of great work.
Eric then made a remarkable claim when Tony asked about Canary Mission.
Who are the people involved with them?
It's him.
Adam Milstein.
Yeah, I don't know who he hired to oversee it.
Wow.
Adam Milstein. He's the guy who funds it.
We need to expose the fact that they're anti-everything we believe in. We need to put them on the right.
So Adam Milstein, he funds the Israel Project and he's funding the Canary Mission website.
Yeah, which is interesting because it makes it seem as though we're a part of it, but we're not. Actually, I was involved with the starting with the Name and Shame. He called a group of us to ask us what we thought. I told him actually I thought it was a bad idea, but he did anyway. There's no one on their side doing it, so you don't have to worry about your reputation.
They've lost the political argument. They can now do nothing but resort to personal smears against us. They can't engage us in discussions of the occupation. They can't defend apartheid. They can't defend the bombings in Gaza, but they can try to destroy our lives.
The lobby hope that a new partnership with Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs will become a game changer in the fight against BDS.
The Ministry of Strategic Affairs brings together this group called the Global Coalition for Israel. And it's like leading pro-Israel advocacy groups around the world. My view and the view of Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs, which we coordinate with sometimes, we communicate with sometimes, is like Europe is lost and it's basically over. And like they're turning a lot of attention now to the US because they feel we're on your path.
The secretive Ministry of Strategic Affairs, based in the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem, was given a mission: establish a covert campaign to defeat the BDS movement. The campaign includes monitoring the activities of American students.
We use all sorts of technology. We use corporate level, enterprise grade, social media intelligence software. Almost all of this happens on social media. So we have custom algorithms and formulae that acquire the stuff immediately.
We are a different government working on foreign soil, and we have to be very, very cautious. We have 3 different sub-campaigns which are very, very sensitive regarding data gathering, information analysis, working on activist organization, money trail. This is something that only a country with its resources can do the best. If we want to win, we have to change our ways. We have to think differently. And this is waging a holistic campaign against the other side. Take him out of his comfort zone. Make him be on the defensive.
In the United States, the lobby is working with Israel to spy on American citizens.
Listen, Dan Crenshaw. Listen. I said earlier we love all Jews. I said earlier I would not allow anti-Semitism on this. Don't put this evil on me, Dan Crenshaw. We are watching a documentary to monitor what the far left is saying and doing. That is our goal here. Don't ruin it, okay? Just because they're talking right now about spying on American citizens on behalf of a foreign government, that doesn't mean the Jews are not doing anything wrong. They're just trying to protect themselves in their homeland and get us to give them even more money than we already are. You know, it's completely understandable. After all, we all should be Israel first over America.
The lobby is working with Israel to spy on American citizens.
We're giving them data. For example, one day Sima's deputy sending me a photo, just a photo in WhatsApp. It's written "Boycott Israel" on a billboard. In a few hours, our systems and analysts could find the exact organization, people, and even their names where they live. We gave it back to the ministry. I have no idea what we did with this. But in fact, 3 days later, there were no billboards.
Our undercover reporter was attending a dinner at the annual conference of the Israeli-American Council in Washington. The three-day conference brings together the constellation of pro-Israel lobby groups in the US. On the surface, things seem to be looking good for Israel.
Israel's booming. It's the startup nation. More venture capital is going into Israel today than at any other time in history. So why don't we just calm down, realize that BDS is worthless, it's losing, and ignore it. I don't think BDS was ever supposed to be about getting colleges to take
This documentary was made around 2016, I think. So it's about 10 years old.
their money out of Israel. So if we focus on the dollars, we could feel really good about ourselves. If we focus on the fact that an effort's being made to distance us, those who love Israel, from the rising generation, I think we need to worry. When you get to the millennials and the students, it's a bad situation. And it's getting to the point now where the majority is more favorable towards the Palestinians than the Israelis.
While numerous speakers discussed ways to combat BDS, the lack of civil rights for Palestinians living under Israeli control was not raised.
Nobody.
Hang on, got a super chat from Renan. Hey, Renan, appreciate it. Hey, this money would be for Israel, but since Carlin is here, I'll just give it to her instead. I need you to promise me you'll only use this money for Jewish safety. Yes, Renan, I will use this $10 to buy a bagel of some sort, with like locks and stuff like that. So I appreciate it, Renan. Thank you. Your $10 will go to support the amazing Jewish creation that is bagels.
Talks about the reason why BDS exists at all. What's the model for the BDS movement? The model is South Africa. So was that a bad thing to do?
An apartheid regime which denied equal rights to black South Africans was weakened and ultimately collapsed after a global economic and political boycott.
They're worried that the BDS movement will get to the stature that the South Africa boycott got to. So they're trying to stop it now.
In order to discredit the apartheid label, the lobby has launched a campaign to try to co-opt black South Africans.
Black South Africans who were apartheid activists, who were brought to Israel, saw the reality, came home angry at BDS. They felt lied to. They felt that someone had tried to steal their narrative. This is an effective tool. Bringing these black South African, former BDS activists, now Israel supporters to American campuses.
During his volunteership, Tony learned that the Israel Project has been developing a strategy called Stop Stealing My Apartheid. The plan is to feed articles written by black South Africans into the American media, claiming that BDS has distorted their history.
Wow.
If you're disgusted by segregation in this country, if you're disgusted by South African apartheid, then you should also be disgusted by Israeli apartheid.
Another workshop was addressed by Israeli diplomats from consulates in the US. Black Lives Matter had attracted particular criticism after voicing support for the BDS movement. It appears that Israel's diplomats may be trying to challenge the apartheid label by canvassing support amongst African Americans.
The major problem.
Do you guys remember how Bill Ackman, who had never, hey, bagel and fake hummus fund. Thank you, I'm Jack. I appreciate the $10. If anyone else wants to contribute to the bagel fund, please feel free. You know, inflation has made bagels really expensive. So do you guys remember how like Dan Ackman used to be on the left? Not Dan Ackman, Bill Ackman, excuse me, Bill Ackman, billionaire hedge fund guy Bill Ackman. He used to be on the left. And then all of a sudden, the college students started saying things that Bill Ackman didn't write. And wasn't Bill Ackman all of a sudden willing to throw as much money as possible at, you know, renting trucks to broadcast the college student names all over Wall Street, try to prevent them from getting jobs? And this guy had never been on the right in his life. This guy is a liberal. And all of a sudden, he's investing all this money and stuff because the college students are saying things he doesn't like. This is kind of reminding me exactly of that. Like, all of a sudden, there are all these stories that are coming out that, well, have a tentative relationship with the truth at best, I should say. But we love Jews.
Of Israel is with the young generation of the Black community. Black Lives Matter starts there. I had last week a dinner, sit-down dinner at my house for 40 people, which are considered the leadership of the Black community, and it's very important people. They can be part of our doing an activity.
Pro-Israel groups are trying to cultivate a new generation of Black leaders that is pro-Israel by bringing them to AIPAC conferences on all expenses paid trips, by taking them on delegations to Israel.
They're doing that because they're afraid of BDS and they're afraid of Black Lives Matter, which is this new struggle for Black freedom that also sees Black freedom as situated in a larger context.
Of capitalism.
In 2014, Israel launched a siege of Gaza. In the same summer, police in Ferguson killed Mike Brown, and Ferguson rose up. And on the news at night, there would be both the latest out of Gaza and the latest out of Ferguson. There was solidarity that was expressed online with the Ferguson uprising. There were Palestinians who took to Twitter to cheer on the rebels of Ferguson and explain how to deal with tear gas.
Israel's diplomats have responded by evoking the legacy of Martin Luther King, claiming that the campaign for Palestinian civil rights bears no resemblance to the civil rights movement in America.
Dr. Clarence B. Jones, who wrote the draft speech for Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream. He was his lawyer, he was his close friend. He's somebody that I reached out to. He became a very close and personal friend. Because of that relationship, he published 3 articles at the Huffington Post explaining why their agenda was hijacked. Martin Luther King will turn in his grave if he saw the anti-Israel tendencies or policies that are starting to emerge in Black Lives Matter.
There's something on one hand laughable about it, but there's something also really insidious about this. You're using the credibility of a freedom struggle to try to oppose another freedom struggle. And I think that that's appalling.
Soon after Black Lives Matter declared support for BDS, a fundraiser at a New York nightclub was suddenly cancelled. The venue's management said it didn't approve of the movement's stance on Israel.
Wow, seriously.
Tony was told by his boss, Eric, that the Israel Project was behind the decision.
I don't know if you saw, but this club, ditched a Black Lives Matter event. One of our donors, we just put in a call to him and we put in a call to the police.
Well, to shut down this Black Lives Matter event. I think it's really appalling that a system in Israel has devised incredible and comprehensive ways to have a violent regime against Palestinians, that they would also invest resources into making sure to shore up support for that oppression here.
One evening at the IAC conference, Tony met a prominent activist, He's associated with the hardline.
Hey, listen, Melissa, I gotta tell you, like, I didn't care at all about this stuff before October 7th. It's the same thing. And, like, my eyes were really opened very, very wide after October 7th. And I think that that's true of a lot of people. And I think I've talked about this before, but one of the benefits of October 7th, for us is that we got to see who was real and we got to see who was bought off and we got to see it happen in real time. And some of the people that turned out to be bought off, I expected to be bought off. Some of the people who turned out to be bought off, I didn't see it coming. And some of the people who were real, that were real all the time, like Nick Fuentes, I didn't see that coming either. So definitely eye-opening in many respects.
Trend in the pro-Israel lobby. Noah Pollock argues that tough tactics are needed to counter the apartheid label.
The activism has to be like very provocative and like attention getting and just like total like no given. Like we're going to be more pro-Israel than you can even imagine.
Pollock believes the American public, unlike those in Britain, will accept his gloves-off strategy.
The majority of Americans are pro-Israel. Whereas if you take pro-Israel in the UK, it's just pure hatred. Yeah. Your country, like, basically let half of Pakistan do it. You know? So you have a different problem than we do here.
There is an actual direct connection between the people who were involved in raising money for Hamas and people who are involved in BDS activism on American campuses today.
Pollock claims that SJP is just a front to hide the real agenda of American Muslims for Palestine.
You'll notice their name is Students for Justice in Palestine. You don't hear the word Islamic, you don't hear the word Muslim in that name, and you hear the word justice, which is kind of a buzzword on campuses today. Everyone's for justice, right? You're not for injustice. The crowd that's kind of behind the scenes is actually a very Islamic radical cause. And if you actually get like into the weeds on SJP, they've aligned with groups that are for the not just the destruction of Israel, the destruction of America.
By the way, one of Trump's executive orders the other day was specifically intended to shut down Students for Justice in Palestine all over the country. And Students for Justice in Palestine has been shut down on a lot of college campuses. They got shut down on a lot of places after October 7th, but Trump's executive order is designed to like literally target them nationwide. And again, Students for Justice for Palestine is a far left group. So I guess I don't really care, but like, you know, just so people are aware, this is all still going on today.
Even accuses Jewish supporters of BDS of being in league with Hamas.
Jewish Voice for Peace, or as I call it, Jewish Voice for Hamas. It'd be like having a group called, like, you know, African Americans for Slavery. You know, it's like, it's crazy, right? A lot of the JVP people are not Jewish. They've had a real problem of like people basically pretending to be Jews because the anti-Israel activism it's a little more sexy.
You're here speaking with a rabbi. I work for Jewish Voice for Peace. I mean, we're a Jewish organization. I mean, again, I think that's another kind of absurd claim.
When you talk about SJP and when you talk about BDS, you talk about them as a hate group, as a movement that absolutely endorses violence against civilians, not military conflict, but violence against civilians, aka terrorism. You discredit the messenger as a way of discrediting the message.
Tony was told of a demonstration that Noah Pollock was organizing. A bus took protesters to an event organized by the pro-BDS movement, Students for Justice in Palestine.
Hey man, I'm Tony. Marshall. Nice to meet you.
This is one of those things where either it's going to be amazing and we're going to defeat BDS, or we're just broken.
But you can't beat them, join them.
The protesters are on a fellowship program run by a conservative think tank called the Hoover Institution.
The whole fellowship is scrappy. It's like you guys are being like foot soldiers of conservative movement. This is actually the first foot soldier activity that I think we've been forced to do. Tony, what's your connection to the conspiracy that we're all part of?
Yeah, the Israel Project.
So you can't not come.
Their plan is to disrupt the National Conference of Students for Justice in Palestine. Marshall said that the pro-Israel protest had been poorly planned.
It's a very fly-by-the-pants procedure. It was basically just like Noah Pollack coming and being like, look, there are these jihadis who basically support suicide bombing, and they're at a campus, and you have to stop them.
Is there a chance to shout at Arabs?
As we're leaving, we mentioned to our boss yesterday that we're going. She's like, oh yeah, that's mandatory. You need to go.
While they've been told they have to take part in the protest, not everyone on the bus is convinced it's good for their reputation.
Do you know what my worst nightmare is? I'm actually not kidding. It's a photo of Dion and I together, and we're just like clearly identifiable. And they're like, "Oh, who are these like traitors who sold out to the Jewish conspiracy for money?" I'm like, "We did. We cost $50,000 plus benefits."
As the bus leaves, they discuss whether there's any point in staging the protest.
I'm just skeptical.
Of using the protesting tactic against them?
That's not our demographic. They don't like. The reason protests work is when like the people involved really care about it and like want to be there.
When a protest is sponsored and organized by outsiders, but made to appear like a popular grassroots movement, it's known as astroturfing.
So they did a really job of getting me excited to show up and protest.
It kind of, the way you're putting it kind of sounds a bit like astroturfing.
No. This is astroturfing. No, this is actually the definition. There's a bus.
What does that mean?
So it's when you set up things.
It's the difference between grassroots and astroturf.
It's not that astroturfing is wrong. It's just that like your astroturf has to be like committed.
Wow.
The bus arrives at George Mason University, where Students for Justice in Palestine is holding its national conference. But the protesters can't find the conference hall.
They'll just pull over and ask, hey, where are all the jihadis?
The driver sees two students and stops to ask directions. One is wearing a headscarf.
Oh, no. Come on. We're like, back to DC! Back to DC!
I believe the comment said.
Okay. No.
Excuse me? Do you know where the Johnson Center is? Okay, just like go back down this. Okay, thank you.
That was problematic.
So this is off to a good start.
Students for Justice in Palestine really is a student-led type of organization focused around promoting the BDS cause. We have workshops on how to run a divestment campaign, finding intersections on campus, building alliances. Right now, Palestine has been essentially normalized on campuses.
The bus finally arrives.
Jen.
Noah Pollack's protest is not a student event. To avoid breaking university regulations, he's arranged a legal briefing.
The SJP conference is on the 3rd floor, and we're going to go up and in a respectful and quiet way protest them. Gail is a legal expert and is going to talk a little bit about that.
We are here, of course, as guests of the university. So we don't want to be accused of disrupting a school-sponsored activity. It is against the law to use abusive or violent language. So we're going to use peaceful, good language. If we see that they're doing anything that is bad behavior, don't engage, remain calm. If you do happen to speak with any reporters, just stay on message. And what is that message? SJP is a hate group. BDS is a hate movement.
Wow.
The only other thing you probably want to mention is that SJP endorses violence, terrorism, things like that. And you guys are going to be great.
We're not there to provoke. We're not there to have any sort of incident at all. We're nice people.
We start seeing groups of people coming towards us who don't seem familiar, and then brandishing Israel flags and then posters and signs.
Tony joined the demonstration.
No. I support democratic society, but if you don't want to see SJP, what do you do with this?
Wow.
You agree?
Holy
Resistance?
shit.
Child suicide bombers?
How do you respond to such a wild accusation that's not grounded in anything, and that's just designed to shift attention. Oh wait, we support suicide bombers. That's ridiculous.
Before that, social justice left supports radical terrorism.
You don't want dialogue? We're here to talk to you. Turn your back.
You'd think if like they were gonna do it, they'd try to shake it up and mix it up with new accusations.
We don't support radical Islamic terrorism in this country. We don't support suicide bombers. Cowards who kill children and women. They leave orphans. We don't support that.
Kill babies in strollers. That'll bring peace. Yeah, Palestinian terrorists all over Israel. That would be it.
Real baby killers, these terrorists. They kill women, they kill children, they don't care about anything. Rape women too, all the time.
It takes a lot to hear this and not respond, and to turn your back to them and to not look back at them.
Thank you, SJP. Good luck with your jihad.
They were very frustrated the fact that we weren't responding. They're saying, they're not even responding. They're not even responding.
Yeah, look at how they wave a Palestinian flag in our country. Look at this. Despicable.
See, because, guys, leftists train their people too. Students for Justice in Palestine is a leftist organization. They trained their people too to not respond to the paid agitators from the Israeli lobby. This is crazy.
These are the real basket of deplorables. These are the deplorables, people. They cower behind radical Islamism. They don't engage in dialogue because they can't win the war of ideas.
There's no responding to our content because there is no refuting our content. Our content is grounded in human rights, morality, ethics, international law.
The staged protest had minimal impact on the students at George Mason University. But the headlines shared on social media tell the
Yeah, this is a really good point, Sam. It's interesting how conservatives always project that the left are all paid actors, they're all paid by George Soros, they're all paid for this, they're all paid for that, when we actually know that's not true, because we know where their money comes from, a lot of times. And it kind of seems as though we can see who the paid actors are because they're on video admitting that they're astroturfing.
story Pollock wanted.
Yeah, let's head back to headquarters for debriefing and cocktails.
Tony was attending a party run by an advocacy group that he'd joined. A journalist then approached him with an extraordinary proposition. He wanted Tony to work undercover for the lobby at a meeting of BDS activists.
For the Allgemeiner, and we're trying to recruit someone to go undercover just to go there and just see what's going on. And I think the person would get paid for it too. Someone's gonna sign up, do that profile, just kind of like see what's going on. Higher up, they sent me an email today. They're like, you know anyone who can do this? For some reason, he pops into my head.
A few days later, a journalist from the Allgemeiner contacted Tony.
It would be undercover and has to be kept pretty quiet. We would like to have some recording device on your person. Any level of potential danger or, difficulty, violence or verbal assault, none of that concerns you or puts you off?
No, because I think I'm pretty good at just being kind of zen in the face of verbal assaults.
The Allgemeiner claims to be the fastest growing Jewish newspaper in America. It pays particular attention to events on college campuses.
We're working on a project now about ranking U.S. universities and colleges in terms of their anti-Semitic and anti-Israel activity.
Wow.
We have a campus bureau that monitors this sort of behavior and these incidents and these campaigns all day long, all week long.
The Allgemeiner often reports that anti-Semitism exists amongst pro-Palestinian student groups.
The language that comes from those arenas move into that sphere of the new anti-Semitism, which is anti-Israelism. And that's a big focus at the Campus Bureau, looking at the blurring of those lines and where those boundaries have eroded. As journalists, right, exposure is the goal, exposing truth.
A short time later, the Allgemeine contacted Tony once more to discuss his proposed mission to work undercover at a BDS event. The editor explained what they wanted.
One of the projects that we've been looking to do for quite a while is to try and infiltrate some of these groups, get undercover and discover what they're about from the inside. You explain the war, it's a hostile environment, and there's some risk involved. The goal would really be to uncover any evidence of not just bias, but, real bigotry, the correlation between the BDS movement and hatred of Jews.
Tony is given a list of persons of interest. They're all on the Canary Mission website.
Go to canarymission.org. Have you heard of Canary Mission?
A little bit. Could you tell me about it?
People who hate it, the people who are being targeted by it, call it a blacklist. You have names here that show up on this database. Students and professors, faculty, speakers, organizations that have ties to terrorism, outright ties to terrorism, or terrorists who have called for the destruction of the Jewish state.
Despite running Canary Mission's Tennessee expose, the Allgemeine staff say Canary's identity is still a mystery.
It's an anonymous site. Nobody has any idea who's actually running this thing, and people have tried and looked into it.
If you're on board in terms of concept, then I guess the next thing we just need to figure out is the money. Can we wait for a follow-up email from you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I should get that to you within the next 24 hours.
In August 2016, a story in the Allgemeine caused waves in Washington's pro-Israel circles.
The thing that I'm working on, you might have seen the news recently about a cesspool of anti-Semitism at the University of Tennessee.
So I want to show you guys real quick. This is a chat that just came in over on Twitter, where people are very upset that, or at least one person is very upset that we're even watching this documentary. And so that's what we can expect when we do stuff like this. And you can read into that what you will.
So the expose was on these anti-Semitic tweets. They uncovered 14 current students, 5 recent graduates at the University of Tennessee that had tweeted all of these horribly anti-Semitic things.
The evidence was released by an anonymous group within the pro-Israel lobby.
They're called Canary Mission.
The University of Tennessee is based in Knoxville, a quiet city in the east of the state. Tennessee is conservative and religious. The Christian church has political influence here. 6 out of 10 voters opted for Donald Trump. At the university, students and professors, including opponents of BDS, were taken aback by the headlines.
It said that there was rampant anti-Semitism at the University of Tennessee. This was quite a shock. It was very surreal and strange. I didn't see anything happening on the ground. It all seemed to be internet-based.
There's this international headline with our names and this defamation of our characters. It was the last thing that we were expecting to happen.
I was surprised that they were targeting the University of Tennessee. I mean, there's just not a whole lot going on in Knoxville. It just seems such a benign target.
Several tweets were clear-cut examples of anti-Semitism. Some failed to distinguish between Jewish people and the State of Israel. Others made vile references to the horrors of the Holocaust.
There were definitely some very anti-Semitic things said, but it seemed to be by a limited number of students.
Those tweets are horrible, and that should not be supported by anybody.
One of the students, there were tweets from when they were 14, 15, and 16 years old. People do and say stupid things. I was really horrified that you had essentially this blacklist of students.
Shortly after being named by Canary Mission, posters and flyers linked BDS supporters to Hamas.
There was a list of most of the names of the students that were mentioned in the Canary Mission. All I kept seeing were flyers all over the place. Like, they'll put it on cars, they'll put it on side tables in the student centers and stuff like that.
That kind of scared me, to think that there are actually people physically on campus posting these things.
Back in Washington, Aviva is drafting a letter to the University of Tennessee on behalf of the Brandeis Center. They want the university to take a stand.
We're telling them that basically they need to issue a stronger statement. They need to investigate the students that were involved. They need to offer education and training.
In addition to drawing attention to those responsible for anti-Semitic tweets, their orchestrated release served another purpose. It's part of a wider campaign by the pro-Israel lobby.
The problem right now, I think, on universities is that administrations don't realize that anti-Israel statements or anti-Zionist statements often are also anti-Semitic.
To find out what anti-Semitism means for the lobby, Tony visits Aviva's boss at the Brandeis Center for Human Rights in Washington. Despite its name, it's a pro-Israel lobby group.
Hi. It's great to finally meet you. Really good to meet you.
Kenneth Marcus is involved in the lobby's attempt to redefine anti-Semitism in a way that could include criticism of the State of Israel.
The goal is to have the federal government to establish a definition of anti-Semitism that is parallel to the State Department definition.
The U.S. State Department defines anti-Semitism using a three-point test known as the 3 Ds. It includes statements that demonize Israel, those that apply double standards, or those that delegitimize the state.
There have been attempts by some to try to define anti-Semitism in such a way that conflates actual anti-Semitism with completely legitimate criticism of Israel or Israeli government policies. They are overly broad and vague to the point where any kind of criticism of Israel or of Israeli government policies can be labeled as anti-Semitic.
The letter that Aviva was sending called for the University of Tennessee, Knoxville to address a long-standing problem of anti-Semitism on campus. The Brandeis Center is urging American universities to adopt a definition of anti-Semitism that could include criticism of Israel.
We are trying to get universities to adopt a uniform definition, whether it's the State Department's definition or a similar version of it, because then we think that the administrators would be able to understand anti-Semitism better and discipline students for hateful and discriminatory actions.
In 2015, Tennessee became the first state legislature to condemn BDS. It's the result of the lobby's attempt to use legal means to quell BDS on campus.
In recent light of anti-Semitic things that have happened here in Tennessee on our college campuses, we are just expressing our support as an ally for the State of Israel. And with that, I renew my motion.
Wow.
There's an intensive effort by Israel and pro-Israel groups to get governments, universities, legislative bodies to adopt a definition of anti-Semitism that includes criticism of Israel and its state ideology, Zionism. Yep. According to their definition, if I say to you that I believe that instead of separate Israeli and Palestinian states, there should be a single state where Jews, Christians, Muslims, atheists, everyone has full equal rights, the way they do under the Constitution of the United States, that would make me an anti-Semite because I'm denying Israel's right to be a Jewish state. This has been a key goal of people like Kenneth Marcus and the Brandeis Center, so that they can then go after people who are advocating for equality and bring them up on charges that they're actually anti-Semitic bigots.
You have to show that they're racist hate groups, and that they are using intimidation to get funded, and to consistently portray them that way.
6 months after the Allgemeine ran its report, an anti-Semitism awareness bill was brought before Tennessee's State Assembly. The bill incorporates the 3Ds definition, which can include criticism of Israel. Kenneth Marcus gave evidence.
When I had read a newspaper article in a major national Jewish newspaper indicating some issues, we independently verified several different issues going on with blogging, I think it was Facebook entries, Nazi-type references to Jews, and the need to kill Jews. They may have dealt with that, but it seems to me it's an indication that the problem is here.
In order to create enough sort of political momentum and hysteria to get these bills through, you need to show that anti-Semitism is rife on campuses. You see groups like the Brandeis Center jumping on headlines which are very dramatic and very scary. Incidents like the one that they claimed happened.
This literally could be made today. This was made 10 years ago. They're saying literally exactly the same things today.
At the University of Tennessee are certainly helpful in a political sense if you're trying to push legislation like that through.
Have a right to exist.
Aviva Vogelstein also traveled to Tennessee.
If a student on a campus says, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, meaning that from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, there will be no state of Israel, that would be considered anti-Semitic.
That's literally the same thing they said today. Wow! They said that in Congress like a couple months ago. Wow.
Another example would be when students on campus chant things like Intifada, Intifada, we support the Intifada. That's calling for, an Intifada is calling for violence against innocent Israeli civilians.
Oh my God!
And that is an incitement to violence. And it's calling for demonization and delegitimization of Israel.
It's the same playbook. It's the same script over and over and over and over and over again. Wow. Hey, bro, it kind of seems like you're annoying people in my chat over on X, so please stop. Please stop. If you don't stop, I'm going to stop you, but I'm asking you nicely to stop. It's not everything is about you. This is about everyone watching and learning. It's not your fucking show. It's my fucking show. Go somewhere else and spurg out if you want to do that.
7 months earlier, when Aviva was writing the letter to the University of Tennessee, she was talking to a leader of the Jewish community in Knoxville. It seems that she told Aviva that the University of Tennessee doesn't have a long-standing problem of anti-Semitism.
She's like, I've been on campus for 10 years and there have been no actual incidents of anti-Semitism. These tweets are obviously disgusting and need to be addressed. It's very misleading that they're calling this a cesspool of anti-Semitism.
Jewish students at the University of Tennessee repeated this sentiment before the state legislature.
When people say things like we're experiencing anti-Semitism, it hits us pretty hard. When we were told that this was being said about our university and the climate at our university, we were really confused because we had never heard any form of anti-Semitism that was happening on our campus. So this was kind of, the first thing to come to us. So if we're the students who are supposed to have been affected by this so-called climate, you would think we would kind of know about it before.
I think it's important to highlight that any allegations that this bill is based off of, those allegations are purely external allegations, meaning they're coming from all over the country except for Tennessee.
One of the consequences of the allegations of anti-Semitism has been to temper activism for Palestinian equal rights.
I would say last year this time, we had a new sort of like adrenaline underneath us, and then this kind of completely killed our fire.
Hey, got another Rumble rant. Let me just see what from Cardinal Groiper. Thank you for the $10, Cardinal Groiper. I appreciate you. All right, guys, we should be rounding out the end of this documentary soon. It was about an hour long. There is a panel discussion after the documentary. We're not going to have time for it today, but I do want to come back to it and watch it on Wednesday, which is, we're not going to be able to watch it tomorrow. We're doing something else. But we will be able to watch the panel discussion on Wednesday, and it is something I would like to do. So we'll slot that in for Wednesday.
It was hard to gain that momentum once again.
After Aviva spoke to Jewish students in Tennessee, she also learned that their greatest concern is unrelated to pro-Palestinian activism.
BDS is not a real movement on the campus. Students for Justice in Palestine, which has like a large following nationwide, has like very few active student members. We mostly only have problems with Christians trying to proselytize the Jewish students, because in the South, everyone is so like, it's like evangelical.
I find it incredibly troubling that at a time when we see a rise in real broad daylight anti-Semitism in the United States, there are those who claim, oh yeah, we're trying to stop anti-Semitism, but what they're actually trying to do is stop advocacy for Palestinian human rights.
Our investigation into the role of the Israeli state at US campuses led Tony to an employee at the embassy in Washington. She's American, and her job is to analyze BDS activity for the Israeli government.
So like nobody really knows what we're doing, but mainly it's been a lot of like research, like monitoring BDS things and reporting it back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and like making sure everyone knows what's going on.
I got you, bro. Thank you.
Julia was president of the pro-Israel group at Davis, which is part of the University of California. Davis began as a center for agricultural studies, and its students are known as Aggies.
I came to UC Davis, which had a reputation of being like a really pro-Israel. Now it's like the top 5 most anti-Israel schools in the U.S.
Why is that?
Because of everything that happened in the last few years. It was just particularly bad. And there's a huge Muslim population in Sacramento, which is right next to Davis.
The growing support for the BDS movement in Davis and the lobby's response to it is part of a narrative that's unfolding across America's campuses. Students for Justice in Palestine, or SJP, brought a divestment motion before the Student Senate.
I was very, very nervous. The entire room was filled. I think we had about 600 students and people from the community coming in to witness this vote.
I am here today because, quite frankly, I am ashamed. I am ashamed of my university for supporting apartheid genocide of my people in Palestine.
Julia and her pro-Israel allies had already decided that they didn't want to debate.
At 4 a.m. the night before, me and my team were like, you're gonna leave the walkout. And I was like, okay. And they're like, we're gonna film it just for our own purposes. I was like, totally cool. So when everything was happening, like we went into it knowing we were going to lose. So our strategy was how to like ultimately win while losing the vote.
Good evening. My name is Julia Rivkin, and I'm the president of Aggies for Israel.
Students streamed the hearing online. The pro-Israel group also filmed it with another purpose in mind. Their videos would play a key part in the story that was to unfold in the days ahead.
We have been ignored and disrespected year after year, but we have never been silenced. We are a beacon of peace and inclusion on a campus plagued by anti-Semitism.
Wow.
This is our victory. And we who are victorious need not legitimize the words spoken in this empty hearing. So if you are here tonight in opposition to this resolution, I invite you now to stand up. Really, stand up. And join me in walking out of this room.
Our thought was to control the narratives. By having this speech, like we wanted it to cause attention. We wanted everyone to see us walking out to show that like this doesn't represent us or shit about this. So that's how we kind of formulated it. That day, all of us released like 50 op-eds in major news sources, so that when people made a hashtag and like a whole thing trending, so when people opened their Facebooks, it wouldn't be them celebrating their victory, it'd be us sharing our stories. A student senator who's Muslim made a Facebook status saying like Israel will fall, like Sharia law is taking over Davis, like we love Hamas, like that kind of status. So that happened.
We had been called terrorists and told that we were Hamas sympathizers, that we want to bring Sharia law to campus and things like that.
Hi everyone, my name is Azka Fayaz. I'm a second-year political science major.
Azka Fayaz was a committed BDS activist and claims that pro-Israel students repeatedly tried to link her to political violence.
They just came up to me and said, "You're a terrorist. Are you a terrorist? You're gonna bring, terrorism to the student government," and things of that nature.
And vote smart.
I know her. It was ironic. She was directly making a joke of that. When I saw it, though, given the climate at the time, I did grow concerned.
People who were involved, they were like, "Hey, there's actually a lot of negative postings on social media. They're sharing your picture and the cover photo with your caption.
Wow.
It's turning really ugly." That caption was reposted and retweeted over and over and over again. I knew that something big was sort of going to happen.
Pro-Israel students were taunted by pro-Hamas students after an anti-Israel vote passed on campus. Listen and watch.
Okay, Fox News.
And right after the vote passed, a student senator posted this on Facebook. Hamas and Sharia law have taken over UC Davis, BRB crying over the resilience.
Anger and tension running high at the University of California Davis campus. What you just saw played out late last week as the Student Government Association voted on a resolution to boycott the Jewish state of Israel.
They kept showing it over and over again. And then they just said that
a lot of people over the years have wondered why conservative outlets haven't covered the stories that I broke in that are, quite frankly, a lot more important than a lot of the stuff that conservative outlets end up covering. If you've ever had any questions about that, just consider the fact that Fox News is covering a completely contrived narrative that is just, it's fiction. It's not real. They cover things that enforce the narrative. They ignore things that don't enforce the narrative.
Muslim students forced the pro-Israel students to leave the room.
Reports say when the Israel supporters tried to object to this vote, the pro-Palestinian students you just saw tried to shout them down with cries of Allahu Akbar.
I invite you now to stand up. Really, stand up. And join me in walking out of the room.
Of course, we know that they left willingly, and they stated that they were going to walk out of the room.
It's incredible to hear Allahu Akbar shouted in the middle of this university.
And what does that represent, Megan? The subjugation of women, the torture of homosexuals, the torture of Christians, the crucifixion of Christians. That's what it has come to represent. And that's what they're shouting.
Were you in touch with the embassy, or were you in touch with any groups?
Pretty much all of the groups. Not the embassy, I guess our consulate.
As well as the Israeli consulate in San Francisco, Julia's anti-BDS campaign had the guidance of several pro-Israel lobby groups.
Stand With Us helped us a little bit in terms of actual research on the speech. They gave us some legal research type stuff. I'm always biased and want to work with AIPAC, so they kind of helped for moral support. And David Project helped us a little bit. It was more help gaining contacts in the media world. I guess we needed money to pay for somebody to film the speech.
Despite the passing of the BDS motion, the governors of the university known as regents are under no obligation to abide by the students' vote.
As for that resolution to boycott Israel, well, UC Regents issued a statement saying they will not even entertain the idea.
After looking back on everything, I feel a little creepy because of what happened after the vote. People that were affiliated with the group just were smeared and had to deal with these very personal crises of the world calling us terrorists and the world thinking that we were this spiteful hate group. It's pretty unequivocal how organized they were, how brutal and ruthless that narrative was, and how it affected us in the end.
Yeah, Angela resigned his chair over the weekend. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. We're just wrapping up the documentary, guys. We'll be getting started with the community Zoom soon, but there's a couple minutes left.
Outside AIPAC's 2017 annual conference, the first protesters were American Jews. AIPAC is facing a challenge from the constituency whose views it was formed to represent.
You do not represent the best of the Jewish prophetic tradition, and we here to bear witness to
One of the groups involved was Jewish Voice for Peace.
The work that Jewish Voice for Peace does is grounded in Jewish tradition, the most basic Jewish and human values, that every single person has inherent worth and dignity and should be treated with respect. We then see what's happening to Palestinians, the occupation, the displacement, the inequality, and say we need to end those things.
There were few pro-Israel demonstrators. Most wanted to project their strength through Israel's relationship with the United States. The Jewish Defense League, with its distinctive yellow insignias, was a small but threatening presence. Its members later attacked a Palestinian-American man.
Wow.
American Jews are even taking their protest to Jerusalem. The Israeli government official who launched a covert campaign to spy on American citizens recognizes that Israel is facing a generational time bomb.
אנחנו היום, לא רק שאיבדנו את הדור השני של היהודים, שזה דור המילניום של היהודים, אני שומעת את זה מההורים שלהם שבאים להיפגש איתי ומסבירים לי כמה קשה להם בארוחות שישי מול הילדים שלהם. שלא מכירים במדינת ישראל ולא רואים בנו איזה אנטיטי שצריך להריץ אותו.
Hi, everybody, and
all
welcome back. My name is Fawn.
All right. Like I said, they do have a panel discussion after this documentary. Sadly, we don't have time to watch it today because I do have a supporter call that we're going to be starting in a few moments. If you would like to join the supporter call, there's still time to do it. You can head over to my Substack. That's Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Sign up as a supporter and then go into the digest email and scroll all the way down to the bottom. And underneath the red box at the bottom, you will find your link to access the supporter Discord. You will find the Zoom link for the supporter call. We are going to watch the rest of the stream on Wednesday. We can't watch it tomorrow because there is a live stream from a socialist organization that we're going to watch tomorrow, starting an hour earlier at 4 p.m. But we are going to come back and watch the rest of that panel discussion on Wednesday. So I know everyone wants to watch it now, but sit tight. It's almost 10 years old. We can wait a couple more days, all right? But we will be doing that. Well, then go watch it on your own, Captain. We just watched the whole document. That was the rest. That was it. That's the end of the documentary. That was it. So that's it. That's all she wrote. So we are going to be going into the supporter call now, guys. I will be back tomorrow, but as a reminder, and you can go over to the YouTube channel, I have everything scheduled out. We are going to be starting an hour earlier tomorrow, okay? Because there is a socialist oh, you guys can't see what I'm seeing. Hang on. There is a socialist presentation on Haymarket Books' YouTube channel tomorrow that starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to be all about how socialists believe that capitalism started the California wildfires. Seriously, this is a serious presentation, and it's going to be tomorrow at 4 p.m., and so if my screen ever loads, there we go. There we go. There it is. It's called LA Burning, Capitalism, Climate Change, and Resistance, and that's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. So we're going to watch it live over here. I'm sure James Lindsay will be complaining that we do exactly the same thing to the socialists that we do to him, but like whatever. So get ready a little bit early, set your alarm early, make a calendar notification, do whatever you need to do. We will be going live. I'll be starting the stream about 15 minutes before it begins, and we will watch that presentation live, and maybe we'll even go into the chat and we will ask them some inconvenient questions just like we do with James. As for right now, guys, that is all I have because I do have to go and do my community Zoom call, and I apologize for everyone. We are going to be starting a couple minutes late tonight, but we will be there. And I will see you guys in the community Zoom in a couple minutes, and I will see you back here tomorrow around 3:45 p.m. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really do appreciate it. Mount the like button on the way out the door. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you? That's difficult to answer. playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.